My apologies to members. I move the motion, standing my name on the notice paper.
Question is that the motion be agreed to, Ms Lauder?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to speak to this motion, which I think will provide some guidance to members of the Assembly as to the importance of understanding the nature of amendment bills, such as CLABs, SLABs, PABLABs, etc. They are a very useful tool to make minor policy, technical, etc. changes, these omnibus pieces of legislation. But I'd like to refer back to 2011 at the introduction of the first PABLAB, where Mr Barr, now the Chief Minister, introduced the PABLAB debate by saying, the PABLAB debate is an effective and flexible tool to consolidate minor, non-controversial amendments to the building and planning legislation, and in my view provides a practical and expedient response to amend minor technical and typographical errors, to clarify uncertainties, to remove redundancies, and to address minor policy challenges. And that was from the 5th of May 2011. And I think this is the understanding that most of us have proceeded on. Minor technical, typographical errors to clarify uncertainties, remove redundancies and address minor policy challenges. Certainly, in the opposition, that's the basis upon which we've looked at these omnibus bills, amendment bills, when they've come through. But there are instances where these omnibus bills contain more than what some may see as minor technical, typographical, etc. changes. In just the last Assembly alone, the government often put legislation through the omnibus process that could have had significant consultation and debate associated with them, such as, changes to planning legislation, to statute law, to crimes legislation can be complicated and can have a significant impact on the sector and on the public of the ACT, even if they may appear at first blush to be minor. So it's important that the government consult with all stakeholders and the wider community before changes are made. We've also had some instances, Madam Speaker, where in effect some members have accused the government of trying to sneak through changes in an omnibus bill without proper consultation. You may have had 10 changes proposed in an omnibus amendment bill. 9 of them may well have been minor or technical in nature, but a 10th may have been far more comprehensive a change. So some bills should not carry amendments of a substantive or controversial nature. Sometimes we've seen changes or amendments that are much more substantive than those made in other schedules, and there are risks that they may push the boundaries of the omnibus legislation. I repeat, the purpose of the omnibus bills is to make minor technical and non-controversial changes. In some cases, it may be as simple as where there's an existing reference to, for example, clause 2C. Other changes may mean that 2C is incorrect and it should be 2B. They are minor changes and they do not change the intent of the legislation. But when I referred at the start of my talk here today, Madam Speaker, about the words that the now Chief Minister used to describe omnibus legislation, practical and expedient response to amend minor technical and typographical errors, to clarify uncertainties, to remove redundancies and to address minor policy challenges back in 2011. And I contrast that, Madam Speaker, with some words that were spoken in this place as recently as on Tuesday, where the Attorney-General, Mr Ramsey, spoke about I think it was the SLAB amendment bill. Mr Ramsey on Tuesday said, he referred to the fact that there is technical and significance concepts. He talked about the technical matters that were contained in that amendment bill, but he said, and I quote from well, to the best of my ability, the draft Hansard, so there may be some changes. And based on my memory, he talked about the fact that if the changes were technical and insignificant, I would have sent back the brief when it first arrived to say there's no point spending resources in making technical changes that have no impact on people's lives. So that's a quite interesting difference to what Mr Barr talked about, the use of these omnibus bills back in 2011, which I would say is the understanding that us here and the opposition work on the basis of the omnibus bills are for. Mr Ramsey said that the bill we debated on Tuesday, the bill and the amendments are indeed technical. They are also significant. So you can see there the discrepancy and the ease with which misunderstanding may arise, Madam Speaker. On the one hand, we have most people, or many people, working on the understanding that these omnibus bills are for minor, technical, non-controversial changes. The Attorney-General is working on the premise that they are significant. I'm a bit confused by the depth of misunderstanding as to the use of these omnibus bills. With that in mind, Madam Speaker, and in fact before the statements from the Attorney-General on Tuesday, I put forward the motion suggesting that the Admin and Procedures Committee look at the question of these omnibus bills and try to provide some guiding principles as far as can be done, because I know it is perhaps a subjective issue, but put forward some guiding principles so that we are all working to the same understanding. We're all singing from the same hymn sheet, if you like. That may appeal to Mr Ramsey's understanding of the issue. What I would like to see is that we all understand what the purpose of these omnibus bills are for. That's why I put forward the motion today, suggesting that the Admin and Procedures Committee look at omnibus bills and try to provide some guidance to members. And I commend the motion to the Assembly.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Mr Gentleman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.